Howdy folks, TechTexN here, bringing you Life is Feudal, and we are on the second part of the tutorial. Now, we're going to go over a few things. I'm going to continue to go on into more of the terraforming functions that you can do, and just to kind of expand on that, we're also going to go over a little bit more on the skill tree, and hopefully we can get into shaping and crafting with a pickaxe. So, as we go here, I'm just going to go ahead and start collecting some plant fiber as we discuss it a little bit. Now, while I'm picking up some plant fiber, I'm going to go over something here. On your skill tree, each time you unlock a level, you have some abilities. However, there are more abilities you gain as you level up. So if you click on a certain skill, such as forestry, you'll see at level 0, these are the functions that you can perform. You can inspect trees, gather branches, and you can create a campfire. Now, level 30, though, they're going to give you a little more ability. You can gather sprouts from trees, plant softwood trees, firs, pines, and that also includes apples as well. And of course, level 60, you can plant small hardwood trees and so on. However, in order to unlock the next skill, your previous skill has to meet level 60. So 60 will unlock your next skill, which in this case would be logging, now that I've done plenty of forestry. Same thing with terraforming. I've already done enough terraforming that I can move on to materials preparation. Materials preparation is really important for later construction and so forth, such as shaping rock and of course shaping granite, which is really going to be important for masonry and architecture. So they're going to have to do a lot of that. But for now, we're just going to do some basic terraforming. Now, since I have achieved level 68, I've unlocked materials preparation, but at this level I can flatten the terrain, which I'm going to go over a little bit here, and then we can dig tunnels, we can harden mine, well, we can't harden mine walls yet, that's level 90, but I'm pretty sure we'll get there by the time we get done here. So let me gather a little bit more plant fiber, because eventually I'm going to have to make a pickaxe. The pickaxe is going to be important for both mining, but also materials preparation. We're also going to need to make a saw and an axe, for the sakes of cutting down trees, because we're definitely going to need some wood if we're going to support a mine tunnel. Now, we're not going to get into mining right away, because we're going to probably cover that in the next video or the next one after that, because we're not really to the point yet where we could build a furnace. And the furnace, we're going to melt down our metals, and we're going to be able to do other cool things, and eventually make a forge and anvil. We can make our own metal tools, which will be far better than these. So we're going to be able to do a lot of things. Now, remember what I told you, in this particular grid system that we stand on, and I'm going to go to observe mode just to kind of demonstrate. In this grid system, every square, as I said in the previous video, has a number. That number represents the distance from zero, which is water level. So water level being 0, this is the distance above water. And what you have to do is each square is going to have its own quality. So if I were to gather plant fiber from a high quality square, then I can keep getting plant fiber at a higher quality. But eventually that quality goes down. Later down the road, when you get into farming, you know how to increase the quality of the soil using fertilizer that you get from a chicken coop. So there's ways of increasing quality, so there's always that ability. For now, we can't do any of that, so we just kind of live with whatever quality we get, which suits us just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my inventory. As you can see, I got a ton of plant fiber. Of course, this is not actually a ton. Plant fiber, you're going to need a lot of plant fiber down the road, but the inventory can only hold so much, so I don't want to overdo it. And one of the things is difficult is staying organized. So here we have that. Let's go ahead and let's see, sticks. We got flint. Well, let's go ahead and build some tools. So I'm definitely going to need an axe. Eventually I'll need a hammer, but I'm going to go ahead and make a primitive pickaxe. That uses 3 plant fiber, 1 flintstone, and 1 branch. Alright, so now we have a primitive pickaxe. Eventually we'll need a sickle, and I'll demonstrate that in another video as to what we do with it. And just for kicks, I'm going to go ahead and make the primitive axe. And I'm going to have to find some more flint in order to make the primitive saw. So I'm kind of getting some tools ready ahead of time. Unfortunately, this does kind of eat up room in our inventory, but yeah, so we're going to need 7 flintstone, so we need 5 more, but we have enough branches and plant fiber for it. So without further ado, let's go look for some flintstone. Wait, let's see. I forgot where my rock is. There's definitely some rock way over there, but I really don't want to travel that far. I think it was closer up the hill. Another thing I need to point out is that there's 2 different types of soil. Actually, there's a total of 3 different types of soil, but one of them you won't run into until later. But there's forest soil, and then there's fertile soil. Fertile soil is what you grow your crops on, and the forest soil is what you have to plant your trees on. You can't plant trees on just any ground. You have to specifically use forest soil. So you got to be careful about using that. And then, of course, there's sand and there's clay. But then there's another type of soil, which is unfertile soil. So it's the soil that you pretty much dig up after you use it up for your farming. And you can't really do much with it unless you fertilize the sucker. And fertilizing abilities, it's not so good early on, so eventually you're going to have to learn to do, dispose some of this stuff in other places. Alright, we're going to need useful flintstone several times. So as you're building your first town, village, or camp, however you want to put it, you're going to have to find a place for all your stuff you have to place. You're not going to have enough room in your inventory for all the dirt, all the rock, and any iron that you're going to collect. So you're going to have to find places to dump this stuff to stay organized. Now, this game does have a particular thing to it where if you stack a pile too high, it'll roll downhill. So if you're on a hill or on an incline of any sorts, just know that that dirt or rock, whatever it is that you're shoveling, can roll downhill. So make sure you're prepared for that to kind of help you stay organized, because it's easy to get all your piles mixed up. So you definitely want to make plenty of room to put all your stuff and know where you're putting it. And if you're having people in your town, which I highly recommend playing with others, make sure you establish where to do this. Some cases, wattle fences is a good way to kind of show where you're putting things, or maybe even just put in a fake building order, a little wooden sign that kind of shows, hey, something is over here, and just stack all your stuff right next to it. Alright, let's see. Alright, I got plenty of flintstone. Went a little overboard. I'm going to go ahead and build a saw so I'm good and ready. The primitive knife will be used for gutting any animals that you kill. And by doing that, you can get their hide, their meat, and sometimes they have trinkets on them. Alright, I'm going to try to keep all my tools down here if I can. Okay, so right now I have my inventory, and right now I have several things here. I do have a pickaxe. I'm going to go ahead and equip my pickaxe. So I'm going to write, well, you know what, before I even get to any of that, let's finish our terraforming. Because I do need to show you how to flatten ground, and this is going to be highly important in order to build your buildings. You have to have flat ground to build your structures. So I'm going to go back down closer to the beach. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is clay over here, maybe? Not entirely sure. Maybe not. Alright, either way. I could look up it on the map later. I chose a random location. I'm still not sure if I'm going to stay in this location, but we'll see. So I'm going to go to my observe mode under terraforming. And I'm going to choose where might be the best place to do it. I might do 10. Yeah, let's do 10. So right now I have 10. Now if I stand on top of the 10 block and look at the next block, which is, we'll do the 10.1. 10.1, jump out of observe mode. So this is the 10.1 block. I have an option that says flatten ground. This is going to be very useful. Flatten ground, what it does is it changes the next square to match and flatten to the square you're standing on. And you keep doing this until you can't do it anymore. And notice I don't have the option to flatten anymore. So let's go to observe mode. Notice that the block has turned green. That means you have flattened it out to the level in which this one is. Now this isn't green yet because I haven't fully leveled it out. It's slanted, but it's still at the right elevation. So I'm going to go to the one that I've already flattened, look back at the one I stood on, and flatten that one. Notice I can't flatten anymore. If I go to observe, now I have 2 blocks that are flat. For your hut, you're going to need about a 3x4 area, I believe, to build your first hut. A furnace, I think, uses 1 or 2 blocks. I can't remember how many total. Of course, eventually structures will use a lot more. So this particular function, you're going to be using a lot. Now, another thing to keep in mind, whenever you are flattening lower terrain, you need to fill it with dirt. So in this case, I'm standing on a 10 block and I'm looking at a 9.5 block. If I were to flatten ground, I'm actually dumping soil in. And that soil has to come from your inventory. So if you don't have any soil in your inventory, let's take a look by observe mode. Take note I still need to flatten, but I'm not going to have the option to flatten because I don't have... If I attempt, it says I don't have the fertile soil. So therefore, I need to go to the higher elevation, flatten that, and that will give me some soil. By gaining this soil, I can therefore go back to the lower terrain and flatten more ground. So you're going back and forth between upper levels and lower levels and trying to even it all out. Oops, I may have walked too far. Sometimes going into observe mode will kind of fix your orientation a little bit. So now I'm looking at the 9.6 block, flatten ground, dump that soil that I have. Now of course, instead of right clicking on it like I'm doing, I could always right click on this option and make it the default action. Now the problem with default action is sometimes that default action will change on you when you least expect it. So keep an eye on that. And it's just a lot of repeat trying to get your ground flattened out. Now sometimes if the elevation becomes too steep, remember I was telling you sometimes dirt will roll downhill. So sometimes it'll require you to go to other locations to gather more soil and try to fill it up. Now, instead of going back and forth so frequently, I'll probably sit here and flatten ground until that one is just absolutely flat. Just fill up my inventory with soil and be done with it. And notice my terraforming skill has gone up pretty quick. Keep in mind, on a server using default level up speed, that will, or the multiplier, will not work. Now, okay, so I left click, now it's prospecting for gold. That tells me that I've done it. I have flattened another spot. So I now have 3 flattened blocks. I'm going to go back here and use all the soil in my inventory to flatten ground. Notice it's a lot quicker to dump soil out than it is to dig it up. And there we go. Now I got some more flattened ground. So as you pick up the pace, it goes a little quicker. But then you have steep inclines like this one, which might take a little longer. I want to at least get 4 blocks going here, just to make it nice and neat. Alright, there we go. We got a 10.5. We'll get that one. During times like this, where the work is plenty, And if workers are plenty, the camaraderie works pretty well. Sometimes your buddies will come and help you out, speeding up the process, because everybody wants to get everything up. After all, if the other fellows want their weapons and armor, someone's got to build their tailor tools, the other one's got to build something else, and so forth. So, the people that you're with are normally more supportive in getting things done because it will suit them. Alright, so I got a 2x2 area here and one extra. I think that's good enough to suit my needs. But take note, I can't really build anything yet, which is fine. I don't need to yet. We got to do materials preparation. So now let's go do a little bit of mining. I'm going to go to this hill over here. Hopefully I'll be able to find that again. Now your character does run slower when you have objects on your back such as tools and weapons. Your stamina goes down a little quicker. And of course that is probably slowing down due to just speed alone. Alright, so I got some rock here. Now before I start digging a tunnel, one thing that's important to keep in mind is, where's my metal? Because eventually we're going to have to mine for metal, so we might as well get that while we try to get rock. So what you want to do is prospect for different metals. You normally want to start off with iron. It's the most abundant, next to copper. I believe they have copper in here. Yes, copper and iron, but you want to stick with iron. Now, the way prospecting works, as you can tell, this is sort of a square system, a square grid system. Let's go back to the observe mode. So, there's a certain number of blocks in radius around you, and that's what the radius stands for. So, if I were to search for metal in a 2 radius, it means it's going to search for metal in a 2 block radius this way, 2 block radius this way, this way, this way, and of course, diagonally. So it's going to search for metal in a 2 block radius. However, it's not just a 2 block radius in 2 dimensions, it's also that 3rd dimension. So it could be 2 blocks down, could be 2 blocks up, depending where you're at. So you could be underground and you're prospecting, it could be in a different spot. However, prospecting is not to get an exact location of your metal, but to get a relative location. So if I prospect for iron within a 2 block radius, I'm probably not going to find it. If I do, then I'm extremely lucky. And I sometimes have been. And it tells you, oh, what do you know? I did find some signs. So it says, I've discovered signs indicating the presence of ore nearby. That means there is definitely iron within this 2 block radius. Now, where exactly? Who knows? Sometimes it's best just to start digging. Now what I could do is a little trick is move forward 2 blocks, 2 or 3 blocks, prospect. If I don't find it, then I know it wasn't in that direction. Then I walk back to the spot that I was in, and then I take 2 steps to the side, prospect again, and so forth. And eventually find out which direction that ore is. But for the sakes of this video, I'm just going to start chomping away because we just need some rock. So we're going to dig a tunnel, but first I need to equip my pickaxe. Let's go ahead and bring this up, drag this over, and equip my pickaxe. Alright. So without further ado, let us dig a tunnel. Oh, maybe I gotta situate correctly here. Come on, dig tunnel. There we go. It says warning, you're overburdened, but I'm not too worried. Alright. Wow, I've received rock and iron ore. Lucky me. Alright, let's take a look at our inventory. Wow, so I'm already getting some iron. This is a good spot. And I've also got some rock. Oh my goodness, I'm running so slow. See what happens when I unequip. Probably not going to help much. Still kind of overburdened. That's okay, we'll dump some of this mess out. Might do it on this lower elevation just to get a head start. Oh, no, I don't do anything there. Thought I wanted to split the stack. You split the stacks, I believe, by holding down Shift and moving the stack over, and then it'll ask you how much you want to split it by. Alright, so there's my flattened ground, but I'm not going to put anything there. I'm just going to dump my fertile soil here. So I'm going to pour this on the ground. Notice I tend to go up a bit. Come on, foreground. There we go. We don't need that soil right now. Okay, so for materials preparation, we can now shape some rock. In order to shape rock, you right-click on your pickaxe and click on Shape. So you use your pickaxe to shape these items. Now notice you have a mortar and pestle, and this will come in handy later, so I'm going to go ahead and craft that. Why not? It's going to help me level up. We need to level up our materials preparation if we want to get into some construction. Now take note, he automatically started building the next one, so make sure you hit escape if you don't want to build anymore. We can shape rock, we could do marble plate, granite, or you can get some stone ammo. For now we're just going to shape rock. So I'm just going to craft away and you'll see our skills go up. Let's take a look. Material preparation is at 5. We're at 10. We're at 15. We're leveling up. We're going to level up all the way to 30. Oh! Looks like we're filling up quite a bit here. Let's shape some more rock. Oh, we need 20 rock. Notice I'm running a little faster. That's what happens when you get rid of some of that dead weight. So we're going to need a place to put all this junk. You can make a basket with bark, however you can't fit very much in it. Alright, where was I digging? I think I was digging a tunnel way up here. Was it here? I think it was here. I'm going to go ahead and equip my pickaxe. Oh, it won't let me right click to do that because it gives the option to shape. Got some rock and iron ore. Alright. Let's do a little more shaping, shall we? You can right click on it in your equipment screen and shape from there. But we just want to level up some. The messages are a little behind. Alright. So now I'm level 30. And if you look at the skill tree, for this case it was level 30, I believe, to unlock the next one. So I'm at level 40. However, with level 30, I can craft basic clay items. And this will be important. Oh my gosh, I have a lot of weight. I have all this iron I'm going to have to pour out. So I'm going to have to find a place. An easy place to see iron will be on the beach, at least in this particular case, because it's hard to see it in all the grass sometimes. So for the sakes of organizing, I'm going to go ahead and dump my iron right here in the sand. I'm not too worried about it, I can find plenty. And take note that the iron has a particular texture that's a little more glittery. But it does look similar to a pile of rocks. Alright, so there's my iron pile. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and dump my rock pile right over here. Can't even see that. I probably don't need the shaped rocks for anything just yet, but I'll leave it here for now. Now notice I get an option to create in my materials preparation. Looks like I have some options now. Notice as we skill up, we have a lot more options on what we can build. And one of the important things we can build is a furnace. So now I get to choose where I'm going to put this. This looks like a good spot. I'm happy. Now take note, I am not building this structure right now. I am preparing to build it. In order to properly build it, it's going to take a little bit more. So the first thing I do is I put a sign down. Now of course sometimes you get these random messages as we work. Some salty sweat trickles down your nose and drops right into your lips. You instill your collective glorious ancient custom of preserving your foes' heads in salt. You remember how your father brought a salted head back from one of his campaigns, albeit an eye short? It was the most fascinating toy ever. They get a little comical on that. Alright, so now I can right click on this little sign and I can click on Create. This tells us what materials we need. We need 100 clay, 10 plant fiber, and 5 water. Water we can simply get from the water. Let's get some water. And yes, even water has quality. Sometimes finding the sweet spot is the trick. There are some dangerous animals, so watch your back. Alright, I have 5 water now. Where's my sign? There it is. So I hit I for my inventory, drag my water on over, click build, and I begin to construct. Now later constructions, some constructions require a hammer. So eventually we will have to build a hammer. Alright, so now I've got the water ready. I only have 1 plant fiber. I'm going to need 10. Let's go ahead and collect some plant fiber. Note that some of these actions take time. But that's the point. One of the advantages of this game is because everything takes time, there's a sense of accomplishment. And when you're working with a group, that sense of accomplishment is greater. In MMO, when there's conflict, your drive to protect your accomplishments become greater as well. I have a feeling that people are going to be more willing to accomplish things through diplomatic means and trading rather than fighting. But you know the fighting will be inevitable. Alright, we have 10 plant fiber. Now, I'm going to need 100 clay. I think I'm going to drop off some items here, my rocks specifically, so I can save space. Notice it leaves a sack. These sacks do eventually disappear. Also, when you drop items and you create a sack on the ground, take note that it says that I am the current owner for a certain period of time. So if you accidentally drop something, don't worry. It won't be stolen right away. You have time to pick it back up, but only for a couple of minutes. But I'm not too worried about rock. I could shape plenty of that. Time to look at the map, because we need clay. These little slits in the landscape is actually clay. The nearest one to me is over here, so I'm going to travel in that direction. Not too far away, but you'll notice that you'll need lots of clay for a lot of different things. Ah, I see it, just on the other side of these trees. Here's the clay. Looks like a bunch of dirt, but it's not quite dirt. Now we need to get our shovel ready. And for terraforming, in order to dig something up, you need to not dig a tunnel, but lower ground level. Sometimes you'll accidentally pick up some dirt along with it. You can see I've already received 60 clay. Does not take very much to make a furnace, in all honesty. The furnace is pretty easy to construct and you will be using it quite a bit. Right click on my sign, create, and let's drag some of this clay over. Now of course I won't require all this, so I'm going to shift click, let up on the click, and I need 40. There's 100 clay, 10 plant fiber, time to build this sucker. Now if you're standing too close to the structure, you might have to move back if it doesn't build. Yes, so I'm too close. So let me stand back a little and try this again. Or, in some cases, you can only construct so much materials in one go. So sometimes you'll have to do this multiple times in order to build your structure. And there it is. We now have a furnace. It's not much to look at, but you're going to do a lot of things with this. We're going to inspect our furnace. And this is important. The furnace has a 14,300 durability. The reason why it has a 14,300 durability is because of the quality clay we used, the quality plant fiber, and the quality water. Not to mention our skill level. All those numbers have a factor into its durability. This is going to be extremely important when building your stone walls in the future, or even castle walls. The higher quality materials you use, the better your wall is going to be. Keep in mind, people can build siege weaponry such as trebuchets, and you want to protect your walls real well. If you want them to withstand them longer, you're going to have to use higher quality materials. Now that I have a furnace, we're going to need some stuff to put in there. For one, we're going to need to get some wood. So let's equip our axe and our saw. We're going to put away the shovel and the pickaxe for now. I'm also going to dump my clay right next to my iron. If you're planning on building a city, it's going to take a lot more clay than what is in this particular area. You'll probably use multiple slits to build your city in the end. Let's see. What else can I drop? I probably won't drop anything for the time being. Oops, I don't want to inspect. I want to open under general actions. So I have some stone in here, but I'm going to go ahead and throw some of the other items I currently do not need. I take that back. I will need some flint. You know what? I will need plant fiber now that I think about it. Let's go ahead and eat my taproot. And some cookies. Get my hunger level up. But also to help free up a little bit of inventory. Doesn't free up by much, but every little bit helps. Sometimes through all the hard work, it's hard to pay attention to some of the things that we're doing. Okay, when it comes to wood, there's two different types of trees, and that's hardwood and softwood. You might want to get to know these. And to be honest, I forget some of them. I'm going to go ahead and inspect this tree. The quality is extremely low, which is 7. And it's a major. So there's not much to this tree. Sometimes it's good to collect the branches beforehand, but in this case I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm just going to cut the sucker down. You will need to have your axe equipped in order to do this. Something happens when you cut down your tree, and you're left with a log. This is a hardwood log. It even shows you, as you mouse over, it is a hardwood log, not softwood. One of the general actions is you can lift this object, which allows you to carry this to a closer location. Sometimes this is efficient, sometimes not. Eventually, down the road, you'll be able to build a cart where you can put your logs in. And you can carry this cart, or eventually, once they update it, use your horses to carry the cart. For now, we're left with hard labor. You have the option to place your item. I'm left-click and holding down on the different axes to move it around. For now, I'm just going to place it right here. There are several things I can do with this, but I can't quite saw it just yet since my forestry skills are not up to par. Right now I can plant, I can inspect, and I can cut. I can inspect. But what I need is the ability to saw out some billets. With billets, you can use them as fuel for your furnace. Strip bark, cut down trees, uproot stumps, which my current level is 10, so it's not very high. I'm going to go ahead and cut down some more trees. Notice it leaves a stump. Doesn't seem like it's big of a deal, but as you start to make your tree farms, those stumps do get in the way a lot, and you'll need your shovel to uproot them, but you need to level up before you'll have that ability. I'm going to go ahead and inspect this tree. It seems a bit redundant to inspect a tree, but if you see a high quality tree, it is usually a good idea to try to get the sprouts beforehand so you can replant to grow better trees. This is a low quality tree. I'm just going to cut it down. Want to use them up and use them for fuel. Burn up your low quality trees. And down the road, your higher quality ones will multiply as you grow them and grow as a tree farm. It's good to have someone in your village to be the one appointed as the tree farmer. So I can inspect the object. I'm going to go ahead and start working on these others. Inspect and cut down. Very low quality. Yeah, some piss poor trees right here. I might collect some bark so I can make a basket. At least with a basket I can put food in it. Let's go ahead and collect some bark. My logging skills should now be at 30. Trying to recall exactly where to build bark. I don't believe it's shape and general preparations. I believe we need a knife. Let's go ahead and grab some branches. Then we'll go ahead and make our knife. You can make a primitive cup with bark, but I haven't really found much use for it yet. With a knife, you can right-click and craft. The only thing I could craft is a handle. Let's see. What was it to make my basket? Maybe I don't have the ability yet. Or perhaps I need a hammer. Oh, no. How ridiculous of me. I create it like I do the furnace. Let's see, is it furniture? I can create a barrel. I can create crates and such. Maybe a little too much. I only need a basket. You can see there are a lot of options here, which is why it's easy for me to forget exactly where to find it. Of course, another easy way of searching is materials preparation. Construction, masonry, and architecture. Take note, castle keeps are very, 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 very large. I think the barrel may be my best choice. Something tells me this will require boards. Covering a lot in this video. A little more than I intended originally, but hey, some people are needing some directions. Things aren't always spelled out. Alright, so we're going to go to construct furniture. And you'll notice we need some things that we really don't have. Metal bands, which we'll need to make in a wholly different place. Nails, which we'll need to forge an anvil. Can't really make it in a furnace. So I'm going to go ahead and deconstruct this, as we can't do anything. Yes. We don't have any materials inside, so we're not too worried about losing it. I really wish I can remember how to make the basket. It's going to drive me insane. Well, I'll have to worry about that later. For now, I need to level up, which I already have. I wonder if I can go ahead and saw out some billets. There we go. I'm going to saw out some billets. Notice he does this automatically until he's either full in his inventory or the log is finished. Higher quality logs of major trees, especially oak, will yield a lot more billets. Take note that while I saw this, it uses up my stamina. So make sure you have plenty of stamina before doing this. Okay, I think that's good enough for now. So I've shown you how to construct a furnace, saw out some billets, cut down trees, inspect them, and build some more tools. We've done a little bit of tunneling, and so forth. You'll notice that we're leveling up our skills pretty quick right now. Again, on any other server, this would be a lot slower. So I think I'm going to conclude that in this video, and next time we'll get into more of melting metals, because some people get a little confused on how to melt down some of these metals. But of course, before we can do that, before we can get into smelting, we need to level up our mining. So we're going to dig more tunnels next time, and also use some of these woods in order to build supporting beams inside the mining tunnel. So I think I'm going to end this video here. With that said, y'all come back now, you hear? Bye.